Welcome into a 7-round mock draft for the Philadelphia Eagles. This feels a little weird impersonating Howie Roseman. I'm definitely not going to do as good a job as he would in this draft, but we're going to have fun with it. We're going to talk about the needs that the Eagles have, what they can do with it. It's kind of a perfect situation. Eagles let a ton of talent on the defensive line go, and here we are in a draft where there's just a ton of defensive talent. And obviously all that defensive talent that you let go was, depth pieces anyway, because the Eagles are just freaking insane. The roster is ridiculous. Look, I don't need to be another person on the internet metaphorically sucking Howie Roseman's dick, but I mean, he deserves all the credit in the world. It's incredible stuff what he's put together, the team building side of what he's done in maximizing assets. Everything he's done from a team building perspective has been awesome, from free agency to the draft, all of it. And look, it's just gonna be fun to talk about some Eagles football here. So let's go ahead and get into it right now. All right, let's see what happens at pick 32. All right. Wow. I would say fairly realistic. I could see these names being here. Kind of incredible that all these names are still here. Derek Harmon is still on the board. Gray Zabel still on the board. Colston Loveland, I would not hate at all at this spot. Now, look, we lost Mekhi Becton to free agency. The guard position could be figured out right here with Gray Zabel. I do think he's going to sneak into the first round. This is his range. Problem for me is, look, Derek Harmon is there. And we don't need interior defensive line at all, obviously. And we have depth. We don't need to spend the first round pick on it. It's hard for me to say no to that because he's a special player. As far as edge, which I do think is an important position, and I do think it's a deep spot in this range, Braden Swinson is still here. I think he is definitely in play for the Eagles. Now, let's see if there's a trade down. Now, the way I do this, I only am willing to trade down with teams that are in the interested spot. And if we were to do that, if they were wanting to trade up, and I could make an argument, especially like with Omari and Hampton still on the board, a trade up actually does make a lot of sense in this spot. I feel like this is about the right value. I could be a little off. Maybe it's 144. It's obviously willing to take that. It's not going to take 77, 22% for 77, which makes sense. They should be able to keep that. This makes sense to me. And this feels like what the Eagles would do. They're going to trade down here. They don't need a pick in the first, especially in this draft where the difference between the 23rd guy drafted and the 43rd guy drafted just isn't that big of a difference. So the difference between the 32nd guy drafted and the 38th guy drafted just isn't that big, especially for a team that has kind of it all. It doesn't really have to worry too much about, the one guy on the board that this team needs. And in this particular situation, I'm building out this scenario where the Patriots would trade up for Omari and Hampton, who is still on the board. Again, whenever I trade down in these videos, I like to have at least some kind of line of logic. What would the Eagles be doing? Why would they trade down? That's obvious. What would the Patriots be doing? Why would they trade up? That's kind of obvious too. So we're going to make this move. We're going to offer it. It's going to be accepted. And let's resume draft. Did they take the guy I wanted them to? No. Doesn't matter. I mean, whatever. Omari and Hampton still goes one pick later. So my logic didn't hold, but it's fine. And the crazy thing is we ended up with the exact same names on the board. Not a single name. I would have been fine with Colston Loveland if the guard went. I would have been fine with Derek Harmon if both these guys went. I would have really been very okay with edge Braden Swinson if both of them went. This is a tough spot for me because I really want to take Braden Swinson. I like Braden Swinson a lot. He's a really good player. He feels like an Eagle. And, man, you're just reloading, just absolutely reloading. I think I'm going to do that. I think you can find interior later down the draft. I think the Eagles, we added some pieces with the 64th pick or honestly, even the 96th pick. I think you're going to have some spots at the interior offensive line spot that we can take. We can afford to miss on that and then take the guy who I just feel like is an Eagle. Big, strong, and fast. I mean, he has a little bit of everything. At 6'4", 250, he has the length. But, man, he really is just an all-around edge rusher. I do think he's going to ultimately sneak into that first round. I think absolutely the Eagles are in play to take him there. Great player. a ton of potential, and he's going to land in just the absolutely perfect spot to develop his skills. So we're going to take that and move right along. Eagles just reloading with a guy that I really, really like in that range. All right, and here we are in the second round. Going to be a ton of options. I didn't mention it in the second just because I kind of decided on my spot. Benjamin Morrison would have been a really great name, and if he would have held out for one more pick, I probably would have taken him. But cornerback, look, we have a Dory Jackson for a year. We still kind of need to worry about cornerback 2 there. Obviously, it's not the biggest need, but we're going to address that position at some point. I will tell you right now, the difference between Dorian Strong and Mello Dotson, for instance, just not that big for me. Or Zay Alexander. Like, I view all of these guys kind of in the same range. I think once you run out of that, that tier 2 of corners, there's going to be a drop off, and not going to be a lot of guys drafted at the back end of the second round into the beginning of the third round at cornerback. I just don't think there will be. I think that drop off is real. I could be wrong. Maybe the NFL sees it a little differently than I do, but I don't see that happening. Omar Norman Lott is still here. Oh, that's such an Eagles move to just take him. The best player on the board. It's such an Eagles move just to take him. Oh, man. Still a ton of defensive talent. Alfred Collins is a good player. I'm fine with him being there. What did we say we wanted to do? We wanted to go interior offensive line. Josiah Saviani, Wyatt Millum, Tate Ratledge, all interior O-line, all could probably go in this range. I know they're ranked a little bit lower on this draft simulator, but I just don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think that's where I think they're going to go in this range. Realistically, I do. Yeah, I mean, that's the Eagles. And look, I know he's ranked 61. I guess it makes sense that he'd be in this range for this draft, but man, it's not happening. He's going before this. But dude, this is what the Eagles probably will do. I mean, it just makes sense. There's so many names, and I've kept saying it. I've said it all draft season. I'll keep saying it from like 20 to 60. There's so many guys that are going to go off the board, especially on that defensive line. And yeah, at 64 overall, one or two of them could fall. Doesn't take much. A couple teams got to draft for needs. That's all it is. And you got a guy like Omar Norman Lott, who is an attacking, explosive interior weapon, who kind of is a little bit different than the bigger Georgia guys that they have. And now the bigger Georgia guys are special. I mean, they're just special. I mean, you don't need him. You don't need him at all. But man, he's there. Could be another situation where, your third or fourth defensive tackle goes for what, 24, 25 mil a year, whatever it was that Milton got from the Patriots. It's ridiculous money. Could be that kind of story for Omar Norman Lott. I don't know how I pass on him. I don't think I can. I think we're going to take him in the second round. We'll figure out offensive line. We'll figure out cornerback 2. Josiah Stewart's still there. That's stupid. No, I mean, look, and this is not an Eagles pick. He is, well, it could be. I mean, he's a freak, but he's small. He's like 5'11", or no, he's 6'1". He's 6'1", 245, but he's a smaller edge rusher who's all speed. 5'11" was a little bit pushing it, but yeah, smaller guy. I guess maybe he could be there in the third round. A good team is going to take him, and they're going to say, screw the measurables, screw everything else. He can play football really good. And I'm pro guy who can play football really good. Tate Ratledge is here. You get him in the third. You're happy as hell with that. So we're going to take that in a heartbeat. Got a starting guard. I think he's a starting guard in the NFL. But all right, as we get to the fourth round, this is the Patriots pick. This is the pick we got for trading down the first. So not promised to the Eagles by any means, but in this mock we're going to have it. And man, what better thing would you do when we traded down and still got the same guy that I would have drafted at 32 overall? Let's go ahead and get the luxury pick and a Harold Fannin Jr. Excuse me. This dude is special overall grade. He dominated. He's 6'4", 230. Absolutely dominated his competition at Bowling Green. He's got the size, got the speed, got the explosiveness. He's a special talent. Obviously, that transition from Bowling Green to the NFC East is going to be a pretty sizable one, but guess what? He doesn't have to start. Got Dallas Goedert probably on his last year with the Eagles. They'll probably let him go to free agency. You got Calcutta. It's not Calcutta, but I want to say Cal. You know what I'm trying to say. You're an Eagles fan. You know. We got him as your backup. I like him. He's a good little player. He's a big player. I'm gonna take him. I think I wanted to add tight end depth. I think this is the range where we're gonna get him. If we didn't get him, we could get Helm. I imagine. Yeah. Gunnar Helm is still here. He had a terrible combine. His foot was swollen. Like, he sprained his ankle and then ran the 40. And he's a pass catching tight end who ran slow. Not a good look for a pass catching tight end who ran slow, but I don't know. He just needed somebody in his ear to say, hey, you don't have to do this run. Like, there's plenty of really slow guys in this draft that did everything except for run. And, they're going to get drafted before they should because of it. That's probably not fair. You can tell how fast a guy is on film, to be fair. But either way, that was a poor decision by him. He would still be there maybe when we pick at one. Yeah, we had 134. Possibly he could fall. I'm taking the tight end. Again, I know we kind of have punted cornerback, but we didn't need a cornerback for this season. We needed a cornerback for the 2026 season. So I'm pretty comfortable taking a guy that I like the upside for, that I think can develop into a star. And I think Noah Williams is that guy. Look, this is a physical corner. This is a guy, look, he might need a little bit of safety help versus some of your faster wide receivers in the NFL, but he's not going to be outmatched by any physical wide receiver at any point in his career. He's going to be able to play outside, which is what you need. You have Cooper DeJean as that nickel corner. You have Quinyon Mitchell on the outside at cornerback 1. We need a guy who can project to be your cornerback 2, not this year. We have a Dory Jackson for this year, next year. So this is a future pick. Williams can develop and grow as a cornerback, as a backup, and then really be able to find a starting job in that 2026 training camp into regular season. So that's what the hope is for this pick, and we're gonna run it there. And again, I think that's why you wait. I mean, especially that's why you feel comfortable in this draft waiting later. We can get some guys like Tate Ratledge is gonna fill in right away. That's kind of the only guy that we drafted that's going to fill in right away. Braden Swinson is going to be in a rotation. Omar Norman Lott, rotation. Harold Fannin Jr. probably not going to see the field much in his first year, but he's going to develop and he's going to need it. And then now Noah Williams, same kind of story. He'll develop. But as we look at these last couple picks here, we got 3 picks in the 5th round. I believe that is all it's going to take for the Eagles. Look, I could definitely talk about a couple different things. First of all, I will say, I wouldn't hate drafting a backup quarterback. Quinn Ewers definitely would be in my radar. I'm not going to do that. That just feels kind of too easy. I want to give you guys other positions to look at and to think about here. Just as we go, I do think, and again, I'm a big like, okay, what do great teams do? What do the Eagles do usually? You add depth to positions that are always going to need depth. So that's offensive line. We're in a spot here. We're in the 5th round. We're a good team. We can just add somebody onto the offensive line that's projecting to be a backup. Depth piece. And you draft a guy who you think can start, who you love all the same, but you're not going to the Jets, who you might have to start at week 7. You're going to the Eagles, and you're going to be in a perfect situation to develop and grow as a player, right? Emory Jones Jr. is a name that I really like. I do think he probably transitions to guard, but he's big. Can kind of move. He's a raw prospect at tackle for sure. This is the type of guy that I take in this range, all right? This is the type of guy that I think great teams take in this range. If you're an Eagles fan, you've watched it, and if you follow the draft the way I do, and you follow the Eagles draft the way I have recently, you kind of know this. You've seen this. You've seen the Eagles make moves like this a lot. That's what the type of stuff that we're going to be doing here. And look, I'm going to be honest, guys, I had to cut just because I kind of fell into a trance just going through all the opportunities, all the options. Went back and looked at what we lost in free agency, what we done, just because it's just such an interesting part of the draft for the Eagles. I've spent way more time, way more time than I ever needed to for the 5th round of this draft. But I wanted to be realistic, and I wanted to, again, it's respect for Howie Roseman. It's respect for what the Eagles do. Wide receiver 2 is definitely a option for me. I like a couple of these names. Dante Thornton Jr. is just all traits. Big, strong, physical, speed. We're talking what, 6'4"? Yeah, okay, 6'5", 200 pounds. I've seen him live. I watched him play a couple times. I live in Tennessee. Had some good grades here, and I wish it could show me the 40. I believe he ran like a 4.3 40. He flew. He absolutely flew. In this range, you got to take the traits. You got to absolutely take the traits. Now, that's not a guy I expect to start early on. And look, with Dante Thornton taken, that is not the guy that I expect to be your long-term answer. But I'll be honest, what do we really have outside of our top two options at wide receiver? Jalen Lane, to me, adds a different element. I'm going to click on him as well. He's more your speedy, explosive slot guy. I thought there'd be a little bit more on him. I like him a lot. He's a guy that I think definitely could have been in the conversation for going earlier. He's been kind of cast out by the wayside, but I think he has a ton of potential. And again, in the 5th round, he can be your slot guy. There's a lot of things that you can do offensively with a guy like Jalen Lane. I understand that wide receiver was one of the bigger needs for them on the PFF. I didn't 100% agree with that because, you're a big run-first football team with 2 great wide receivers on the outside. I'm more comfortable, instead of spending a top premium pick, let's spend 2 5th-round picks on wide receiver. Let's get them into the building. Very different guys. We got one outside, big, physical, fast wide receiver, and we got one inside jitterbug slot guy. So we're going to get a little bit of everything there for the Eagles, and then what we're going to do is we're going to finish it up with interior. Again, we're gonna address the offensive line. I know we've addressed it a couple times already. I know it's a little bit boring. I think it'd be more fun to talk running back. It'd be more fun to talk defense. We added some premium players on the defensive line. So I don't feel like we need to add more depth guys. They absolutely could. The Eagles could pretty much go wherever they wanted with this, but I'm just thinking for my purposes of making this video, I think it just makes more sense that we would try and go get a true tackle prospect, because we got a couple interior guys. We got a couple guys that can play interior, but can we find a guy who can develop into a true tackle? And for me, Cincinnati's John Williams is that guy. Look, he's huge, 6'5", 320. Obviously, all these tackles are going to be big, but he's improved every single year in college, and he's a redshirt senior, so he's an older guy, but he's developed. Again, going to a situation where he's going to get to develop, and you're hoping in 2 years he can be a starting tackle in the NFL. He has the traits to do it. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to finish off this draft with. And that's it. That's all we got. Look at this draft class, man. Look at this draft class. I think if the Eagles could do something close to this, it'd be pretty cool. Because and again, I understand, like, it's tough. I started off this video talking about how daunting it is to draft for the Eagles, and the Eagles are a great roster, even outside of how well they've drafted and what they are as a team right now. I mean, it's special stuff. And look, I have a reverence for what the Eagles have done, because I'm a draft guy and I'm a team building guy, and I think what they've done is special. And I tried to emulate that as best I could. Looking at this draft, Braden Swinson, edge rusher that I just think fits the Eagles, and I'm just a fan of his. Big speed and power guy. He's a good combo of both, I feel like. He's a really good player. He's gotten lost in the sea of really good interior and edge defensive line talent, and he is going to go right in the middle of it. I think he has a real shot to go in the first round. Like I said, when I traded down, he was the guy I wanted to take at 32 overall. We traded down, but there was other names that were more highly valued, at least on PFF, that I thought would go. None of them went, and I still took Braden Swinson. The Eagles would be smart enough to just trade down again, but I wasn't smart enough to do that. Omar Norman Lott in the second, and again, if you watched that part of the video, if maybe you clicked ahead, that's totally fine if you did, but if you watched that part of the video, you saw my face deflate, because I was going to go offensive line. I was planning on drafting for the only real need that I saw on this football team right now. And I couldn't do it, because I don't think that's what the Eagles would do. I think Howie Roseman would see a really great player, fall to him, and just take him. Doesn't matter what position. We'll figure it out. He'll get on the field. He's just way better than 64th overall. He's just way better than that. And he didn't get a lot of snaps. I get it. Neither did James Pierce Jr. at UT. They rotated all their guys a bunch. James Pierce Jr. is still, top 20 pick. Well, everyone's in love with his speed and his measurables. But Omar Norman Lott just forgotten about, it seems like, in this entire process. But he's really, really impressive. Great hand usage. Does a lot of really good things from the interior and has a great deal of strength, utilizes it very well, but also has the explosiveness. Insane win rate for interior defensive line. Insane. Tate Ratledge, one of my favorite guards. I think he goes a lot earlier than 96 overall, but he's there and we take him. Harold Fanning Jr., he was the pick that we got for that trade down. It's a luxury pick, but the Eagles can afford a little bit of luxury in their life, right? I would imagine Dallas Goedert has his days numbered in Philadelphia. Didn't look the same coming off that injury last year. Maybe he comes back to full force. Even if he does, he's going to want a contract. Why would the Eagles pay that? They can draft his replacement a year before. That's what they did with Zach Ertz, and Dallas Goedert was that replacement. I think that was after they beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl, so the synergy is there. So Harold Fanning Jr., maybe the next Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. And then, again, the rest of this draft, the rest of it was just, I want to take guys that I really believe in their potential to be players in the NFL, but they're not there yet. Emory Jones Jr., tackle, maybe guard, we'll see. Noah Williams, same kind of thing. Outside corner, fit what I think the Eagles need, is just that cornerback too. They don't need the slot. They don't need to replace Quinyon Mitchell. Those guys are set in stone. They're going to be there for the next 10 years. Noah Williams going to be probably a cheaper option after Adoree Jackson's done. And then, a couple wide receivers in the fifth. Again, I mentioned it when we drafted him. One is your outside, big, fast receiver that's just all traits he's got to develop, but he's going to get the opportunity to. And then Jalen Lane, the exact opposite. He's your interior slot guy. Got him in the same spot, and I really like that spot for both of them. And then finish it off with just another tackle, but he's a true tackle. Emory Jones Jr. is probably your guard. He's a true tackle. Again, it's the best offensive line in the NFL for a reason. You got to keep churning the roster. You got to keep adding guys. Fifth round, just add pieces. I believe in that. I think we're close to what the Eagles would actually do. Are they going to spend 3 picks on offensive line? Maybe not, but maybe. I don't know. I think it's a real possibility. I don't think it's crazy. 2 picks on wide receiver, very possible. 2 picks on defensive line, likely. I would say very likely. If anything, I think that's probably gonna happen, if not more. But all right, guys, let me know what you think about this draft. If you're still here, if you watched from beginning to end, you're still right here, dude. You enjoyed it enough. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, help grow this channel by helping out this particular video get seen by more people. Comment down below. The comments really help the algorithm. That's how these videos get distributed on YouTube. It's all in the comments. Like, if you just put anything out there in the comments, it really does help me out a whole lot. It means a lot if you do. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this long, love it, dude. Love it. You're a draft guy just like me, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.